Hello and welcome back to Own Your Peace. I'm your host, Andy Thewison. And if you're waiting for clarity right now, this episode may frustrate you, but that's exactly the point. This isn't about trying to figure things out. It's about recognizing what's ending. And so much is ending for many of us. It's a point in time, a pivot point, a recalibration, a paradigm shift if we are open to it. This isn't about trying to manifest harder. It's not about forcing vision. It's not about escaping discomfort. This is what happens when control finally runs out. And for so many of us, we have lived through decades of control, of trying to force outcomes, of trying to force clarity, of trying to effort our way through this lifetime experience. But right now, something's shifting, and it's shifting on a huge collective level. I know that I'm feeling it myself. I know that so many of my clients are. I know that the conversations I'm having with just in passing with people, so many of us are feeling this. This is a threshold for so many of us. It's not a void. This is the stillness before movement. It's almost not feeling like it's the calm before the storm, but there's this settling of the dust before moving forward. It's a reorientation, not confusion. This is why things may feel foggy or vague or unknown right now. It's this collective pause that we're feeling right now. It's not because we're lost. It's because of the old strategies, the old way of doing things, the old way that we have moved for decades, for most of our lives, is changing. The way that you have done life up to this point is going to irrevocably change. And this is good news. But we're going to have to go through some changes here. And I want this episode to be an anchor point, a, a lighthouse for how to human as we move into these newer energies that we have not yet experienced. Because again, this is a pivot point, this is a paradigm shift. This is a moment of preparation, not being passive. It may feel passive, but it is very much on purpose. And there is a point to this quiet. There is a point to this feeling of uncertainty, of fogginess, of unclarity right now. Every phase before this point has taught us how to act, to react. But this new phase, this new energy that we're moving into is asking us, well, who are we when we stop efforting, when we stop trying, when we stop proving and pushing? This is the distinct change that is happening collectively for us right now. This is the contrast that we're moving through. And I want you to think about these things, ponder them, if you will. Action without trust becomes force. Vision without embodiment becomes fantasy. Control without clarity leads to burnout. This is the shift that we're making right now. Before, force was the way that we moved through. It was this very masculine, this pushing, forcing, efforting to get ahead. And, vision was a big part of that. But now, vision without that embodiment is just fantasy. Action without trust is that force. And control. Oh, the control that we felt like we had to have. So many of us felt like we had to have this tight control over everything in our lives. Without clarity, that is going to continue to lead to burnout. We've got to put that down. This moment isn't asking you to decide anything. It's asking you to stop interfering. This is when we move from trying to effort, trying to push to prove, into flow, into co-creation with an intelligence that wants to breathe and work through us. It wants us to hold something higher. It wants us to embody something higher. Let's talk about confusion versus surrender. Confusion feels like mental looping, urgency to fix things, grasping for certainty. If you're feeling any of that, put it down. Trust, choose to surrender. Because if you're in mental looping, if you're feeling like this urgency to fix, and if you're grasping for certainty right now, that's the old way of doing. That's the old housekeeping. We're moving into surrender, and surrender feels like slowing without answers, not having to have the whole itinerary planned out. It's a quiet internal no. I'm not going to keep playing this game of pushing and proving and trying to put myself ahead. I'm going to trust. This is the body settling before the mind agrees. This is the body yelling to put the brakes on and to trust it again, to get out of the headspace and into the heart, to get into the body, which has been begging for us to listen. Confusion demands resolution. Surrender allows recalibration. Let's normalize the discomfort of sitting in uncertainty, of not knowing, and being good with that. Fog is a nervous system response to a loss of control. Stillness feels unsafe when identity has been built on effort. Think about that. This is why inner guidance feels quiet right now, not because it's gone, but because urgency has drowned it out. That was the old school of thought. We had to have it all figured out. We had to have all the answers. We've been trained to have all the answers. And truly, that's in complete contrast to how the universe wants to work with us moving forward. It wants us to listen, to take one piece of action, embody it, live it, breathe it, and then continue to move forward. We are not meant to have the itinerary, the whole agenda figured out. Inner guidance speaks only when urgency stops. Inner knowing isn't loud. It doesn't argue. It doesn't rush. Inner guidance doesn't compete with urgency. It's not going to. It waits for it to exhaust itself. And then it's going to come in. Urgency is fear-based leadership. When urgency dissolves, when it falls away, when you allow yourself to slow your roll and gently come back to yourself with no timelines, with no urgency, a truer signal emerges. This isn't a delay, it's a recalibration. It just makes me think about when you go to different places, there's different speeds of being. Here in Utah, there is a faster pace. I feel like everyone feels like they're in a hurry all the time, and it's very much, I have to prove myself energy here. It's a very masculine energy here in Utah. And that has been a little trickier for me to navigate because I'm a slower mover. But when I go to places like Hawaii, where there are no timelines, everyone is on island time and they flow. If it's a good surf, they close up shop and they go. They flow with nature. They move with nature. I'm not saying that either is good or bad. They're just different ways of being. And like we talked a couple weeks ago, there's that middle way. Obviously, we want to have some structure to our lives, some form to bring peace. I always like to say, if you let water run free, it's going to overpower. There's no direction. But when we have a vase, when we have banks that help flow that water, that help contain it, there's this beautiful flow within that. So finding that balance between island time and, New York energy and these bigger cities, and even, Utah has its own cadence here, finding that middle way of finding your inner space and finding your own flow. And taking away the urgency, taking away the control, allowing recalibration, allowing yourself to slowly allow things to unfold. And just, I want you to think about that. Feel this in your body. Doesn't unfolding feel so much better in your body than rushing and urgency and trying to figure it out? Like, I'm literally sitting in this office space right now. And as I say these words out loud, my body is like, when I say urgency, I immediately tense up and I get, it just wreaks havoc. But when I say slow your roll, when I say recalibration, my body just relaxes. That's what we're moving into. That's the new way of being. That's the transition that we're truly going to feel. Yes, everyone's talking about the year of the horse, the fire horse. Yes, there's a lot of momentum. Yes, there's a lot of free embodiment, but we need to put some reins on that horse so that you have structure and routines that support this momentum energy. And that is listening to the inner guidance, slowing that horse down to a peaceful cadence. And there are going to be times where you're running that horse this year. Absolutely. But I want you to think about slowing that cadence down, guiding that horse to where you want it to go this next year. Here's some reflection points I want you to think about. I want you to sit with these. Let these things land in your body on a somatic level. I'll put these questions in the show notes so you don't have to worry about pausing and rushing at all. We're not doing that around here anymore. Where are you still efforting for clarity? What decision feels heavy because you're trying to force clarity? What happens if you let your body lead before your mind agrees? Your body wants to take the lead. We have been so much in our higher mental energy because that's been praised. That's been what's guided this prior era of time, is that intelligence and that hyperfixation on intelligence. But we're moving into a newer kind of intelligence. It's a soul led, it's a body led intelligence that is going to pivot us into a new way of being. So if nothing feels clear right now, it's because your body is recalibrating its leadership. How do we create momentum without pressure? That is we talked about this not being a void, but a pause moment. This is the season of time. This entire season is learning about how to move after control dissolves. This isn't asking you to visualize harder. It's asking you to stop overriding what you already know. That's the transition we're making right now. Your body knows. Your soul knows all the answers. But you have to get out of the head. You have to get out of the urgency of problem solving, of the mental loops that we have played to this point. As we move into this new energy, this is a really good time to lean into recalibration, allowing yourself to slow, giving yourself more time in the day, and trusting where your body is leading you. The other day, I was sitting and doing my morning meditation and my journaling, and I was thinking about how I needed to use my time that day. And typically it's business stuff like, create some content, you record a podcast episode. And I felt deeply in my bones that the most productive thing I could do that day was to organize and clean my home. So I went through cabinets one by one, getting rid of all this excess stuff. Do I really need 16 mugs? No. Do I need these things, these products that I don't even use, I don't even like, but they're there because I paid money for them? Really making a energetic edit of my home was the most productive thing I could do. And I want you to start thinking about that, really listening to your body's guidance. it might surprise you what it says. My body clearly wanted to edit and organize and clear my home right now because that was the most important thing for me right now. It wasn't pushing. It wasn't trying to, I've got different things in the pipeline. I'm relaunching Ignite Your Type, not relaunching it, but recalibrating it right there. Um, because it is such a beautiful portal of initiation, of change, of helping support you in this timeline pivot that we're in. I wanted to give it more structure and more support so that when you came in, it wasn't like an overwhelm. Giving it structure and giving it phases. You move through each phase as a initiation point and an embodiment point, and then you move on to the next phase. So it's not like this fire hydrant where it's just everything's at you at once. It's going to be a little bit more slowing it down. Okay, let's move through phase one. You got it now. Let's move to phase two. So I've been working on that, but I put that down. And I needed to make this space in my home to make home feel more organized and let go of all this stuff that's been weighing down our house. I mean, I go down to our cold storage and literal like you can't see if you're not watching this on YouTube. It's like this little twinge of like, oh, I can't look at it. It's just like the OCD person in me, just that it's driving me nuts. So that is what I've been working on, and I allowed it. Instead of like, you know, the old rule of thumb, the old Andy, if you will, would have like, oh no, I need to work in my business. Like I can't waste time doing these things that are not productive in air quotes there. But it was exactly what I needed to do. So trust that new directions, new ways of being, new ways of flowing throughout your days might be coming and landing right now. Just be open to receive. Next week, we're going to explore what aligned movement actually feels like and how to tell the difference between true readiness and nervous system panic. It's going to be a great episode. Before we close, I really want you to sit with this and be okay with this in between. And if you're a 90s kid like I am, there's this song that kept coming back to me in regard to this episode, in regards to this energetic pause that we're all feeling collectively right now. And it's the song The Middle. So listen to these lyrics for you. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. You don't have to worry about what they tell themselves when you're away. It takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be all right. You know, we're all the same. You know, you're doing better on your own. So don't buy in. Live right now. Just be yourself. It doesn't matter if you're good enough for someone else. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be all right. All right. It just takes some time. And that's where we're at right now. We're in the middle. We're figuring ourselves out. We're moving through some massive collective upgrading, some massive, massive shifts on how we're moving from efforting to forcing to controlling, which has been the energy for so long. We're moving into truly trusting and surrendering and allowing ourselves to receive and to work in a completely different way of being. Till next week, much love and have a great week.